Right, certain meetings normally held at the municipal office are being held remotely with adequate alternative means of public access and will require public participation provided in accordance with House Bill number 62, the 194th General Court, which extended the governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, MGL Chapter 38, Section 20, until June 30th, 2027. Meetings are typically broadcast on Frontier Community Access Television or FCAT and are available on YouTube. And this is the Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, 1888 Building Advisory Committee, commencing at 12:05 p.m. So no meeting minutes to review. We did have February 3rd on the agenda, but those minutes aren't ready just yet, so we'll just take them up in April. And then I think we'll turn right to the construction and budget updates. So Rob, I know you're on the road. I'm just going to share your
Sure.
budget, and then if you want to speak to that real quick, you can listen in.
Yeah. Yeah. Apologies, I have to drive on the road at the same time. But yeah, our general progress update since the prior meeting has been a lot of essentially a continuation of the process or product process from last time we reported in. So basically buttoning up the framing on the new addition, roof sheathing, interior, rough mechanical, electrical, plumbing scope in the existing building, starting that with the addition. Now, we've taken some big steps forward on coordinating with technology and AV scope that is not in the contract with WJ Mountford. So we're engaged with Entree Technologies to develop a scope to provide the data cabling to all the data ports in the building. So we're actively working with them on that. They were out there earlier this morning to start coordination with the electrician and kind of get a better understanding as to where is going and who owns what, and particularly related to the server room, just to make sure that we're not kind of overlapping and everyone knows where each system in terms of data racks and sort are going and who owns what. So we're moving forward with that. We don't have exact costs just yet from them. Hoping to get those relatively soon. Chris, I know you and Greg are clearly worked on developing or getting proposals for the AV technology scope related to the meeting room. I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute. Tim and Chris and I have spoken to some solar companies to hear their proposal and proposed numbers on designing and installing the solar array on that section of roof that is ideal. So we've seen a few proposals and heard a few words from those guys. And what's the other one? Furniture. We had a furniture meeting with Lexington Group a couple weeks back. I don't know if we talked about that in the last committee meeting, but that scope continues to develop and get refined. I believe there's another meeting with those folks. Chris, I want to say next week.
Yeah.
So I think we're real close on seeing a cost proposal from Lexington Group to furnish the entire building in terms of desks and chairs and workstations and all that stuff. They seem to be all over it. I think safe to say we're pleased with the progress on that. Probably going to have to pull the trigger on that relatively soon as we approach the spring market, but we're tracking that carefully to time furniture procurement and delivery. Make sure we sync it up with the building being finished. Other than that, I know we're still tracking a couple of change order items that we can get into in a minute. We're still not 100% settled out on the fire protection seismic bracing. That is still being, we're still honing in on that from a design and engineering perspective, and then it needs to be repriced with the subcontractor. Tom, Charles, you might have a clearer update on that than I do at this point. We can get into that in a minute. But overall, we're in good shape. Mountford, is confirmed as of last week. We're still on schedule. They're still tracking the way that they want to. We just got a couple of these loose ends that we really need to button up. KRA has been working actively with them on sorting out some details, framing details, structural details with the new addition and the stairwell. So some things have had to change and be modified and pushed and pulled. So sorting through that stuff as quick as we can. But overall, it looks like we're in good shape. Especially regarding the budget. I really don't have any significant updates on the budget from last month. We're still tracking about the same approved change orders to date. I believe the number, without looking at it, I know it's on the screen right now. I believe it's about $160,000 in committed change orders. I think that number was slightly higher last month, but we've since processed a credit for scope given back related to the waterproofing in the basement. So that brought our number down a little bit by $7,000 or $8,000. But really, we're at the point where we're waiting for costs. I know we've got some numbers to talk about in a minute or so about AV, solar, and furniture. From what I gathered, I believe we're on target with all of those three. I think we're happy with the way those numbers are panning out. I believe we've carried $125,000 for furniture and equipment. From what I gathered from our meeting with Lexington Group, I think that number is going to track a little higher, maybe closer to 140, maybe 150. But I haven't seen that shake out just yet. But even if it is, I think we certainly have some funds that we can borrow from our contingency, which is still quite healthy. I believe it's 23% of contingency we're still carrying, so over $1 million. So I'm quite happy, quite comfortable with the budget, but yeah, pretty much tracking the same as last month, pretty close.
Great. Well, thanks, Rob. Any questions from committee members on either status of construction or the budget?
Are we getting all new furniture?
That is the plan. Yep.
And then what happens to the stuff that's in the town hall now?
Yeah, we could potentially declare it surplus, give it to other town departments that might need it, or give it to residents. And obviously there are some pieces that'll probably make the move in some way, shape, or form, the touch screens and things like that. But then there's also a lot of old desks and chairs here.
Yeah, that's fine.
And depending on what subsequent use, maybe there is a town department or agency that moves in here and
Right.
needs the stuff.
Okay.
Rob, I had a question because I don't see a line for the solar, so it's not under like owner expenses on here, unless I'm missing it. But are we sort of assuming that's under one of the, either under Mountford or one of the other totals there?
Yeah, my default thinking on that was that it would come from contingency because we would ultimately add that as a contract change order with Mountford to carry that scope. But yeah, maybe it makes sense to pull that out and identify it as its own line item. But yeah, for now, I'm just assuming that number would come from our contingency fund.
Yep. Okay, makes sense.
But I can do that for the next meeting for sure. That makes sense.
Great.
Are there any other, do you have very many change orders that are still being negotiated?
We got a change order and it came up last month. It was to change the circuitry essentially for the elevator. The base specs and design for the elevator and the drawings is not fully flushed out because there was not a manufacturer on board yet. But since we've gotten one, their particular specs required us to change the circuitry, and that change order did come through last month for about, call it $10,000. It was $9,000 in change, and KRA and I provided comments to WJ Mountford to essentially, question the labor. We thought it was high, questioning costs on markup, and we have not seen those responses come back from the electrician. So it's not super time sensitive. That's why I think they're kind of just taking their time on it. But that's one item still hanging out there. But we weren't happy with the cost essentially. But we haven't heard the feedback from our questions just yet.
Did you get the whole thing about the strapping for the sprinkler system figured out? That's all done?
Still ongoing. Tom, can you give us the latest and greatest on that? I'm not sure what's changed since last week.
Sure. I think it's pretty simple at this point. End of the week, our fire protection engineer will conclude her review and revisions and design for what's required for seismic bracing. She'll be able to then turn it over to the contractor for pricing. My hope is that it's similar to what the contractor had proposed, both in design and pricing. My really optimistic hope is that it's a little bit less, but I won't suggest that. But point being, I'm hoping that the contractor can turn it around pretty quickly so that we can get that work done.
Yeah, the original cost proposal to add the bracing was somewhat premature, but that proposal was, I believe, $23,000 to go back up into the ceilings and add the bracing. So like Tom said, that number could stay the same, could be a little less, but who knows? It could be a little bit more because we'll find out in 45 minutes when we meet and talk about the latest update with Moundford. But the mild concern was that they were going to start installing ceiling grids, and that was going to make it not impossible to do the bracing, but it's just one more thing in the ceiling space that the fire protection guys would have to work around. So that might make the process a little bit more, cumbersome and slow them down a bit. So they very well could be, adding more labor than the original proposal. But, Tom said there was perhaps some efficiencies found in the design review that reduce that cost or maybe call it a wash, but remains to be seen.
Are they starting to suspend the ceiling grids, Rob?
I don't know for sure. We're going to find that out
Okay.
when we talk to John and Pat at 1 o'clock.
All right. Yeah, definitely. It'd be nice if they can hold off on that, until the sprinklers are braced.
And we have been saying that, and I'm drawing a blank, but there's another reason as to why it was advantageous for Moundford to hold off on that. I can't remember off the spot as to what it was.
Okay.
Maybe it was I know the painter has started to do first coats. I know they wanted to get the first coat of paint prior to putting up the perimeter grid at least.
Right.
So they didn't have to cut in. But I feel like there was one more thing that Moundford was saying they were going to buy a little bit more time before grids went in.
Maybe the condensation and sprinkler piping. What's happening above those ceilings is complicated, and there's still a few outstanding items being figured out and coordinated.
Yep.
One last thing that's going to be an additional cost was the decision to create a separate office upstairs in the
Yes.
the select person's office, right? And we have I've just got a cost proposal from EDM to redesign that. It was $7,000. We have our own fee we're putting together, and we'll get a proposal off to you, Rob, and Christopher, and for the design fee for that. But there will be additional construction costs for that. They're building a new wall. There's going to be a new door. There's going to be some additional data ports, some switching and outlets that get changed. They have to add in a new fresh air grill for this office, as well as a small fan coil unit. So because this office will be enclosed, it'll have its own sort of heating and cooling controls and service. So all that's going to have to get designed and priced out, hopefully, within the next couple of weeks.
Makes sense. Thanks, Charles.
Yep.
What are we adding an office for?
For Greg, we hit the original layout didn't have an actual wall for his office. And just based on the kind of nature of conversations he has to have, confidential information, it was like, well, there really shouldn't be a wall there.
Yeah.
I think it kind of fell through the cracks because Chris Nolan, our former assistant town administrator, had left when the original design went out, and Greg wasn't on board yet. So this was quite a while ago, but we're just getting around to fixing it, and appreciate, Kuhn Riddle looking into it with EDM.
Yeah, I just would add, it just seems to fit, after being in my office for the last year and a half or so, just the way we function in the town hall, I don't really see that changing in terms of the conversations and, who comes in and all that. So I think it's a functional.
Yeah. No, that's good. I'm with you. So why didn't we compute data? Why didn't we have data cabling? Doesn't that seem like something we should have had in there?
Wait, this has to be reconfigured to work with. It's not necessarily new outlets as much as it is relocating existing outlets and coordinating all that and figuring out where they're going to go with the revised furniture plan.
Very early on, you said that there was we were working tech and AV technologies and the data cabling had to be redone, or is that what you're?
Do you mean what Rob had said earlier about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
At
so
the very
let
beginning.
me explain that. So this is typical in building projects. What WJ and their electrical contractor own is pathways. So that looks like conduits.
Right.
They put
Okay.
a box in the wall.
Mhm.
But then you have another contractor, obviously, who handles the data. And things can get really messy if the electrician brought a wire, the data guy doesn't know where it goes. He does a connection, it doesn't work. He says, "Hey, you put that wire in. I don't know where it goes. I don't know what." So, in other words, what we own through WJ is bringing those pathways, and then your data provider will take cable from their server, run it through that pathway all the way to their termination, so that when you plug in, the data provider owns that whole system of connection.
That seems sensible.
Thanks for the explanation, Tom. Very good. It's always good to be refreshed on those items.
I was just going to add on the addition of this office. We did explore with Lexington Group, the furniture vendor, about what the base plan showed, which was essentially a cubicle unit. But after conversations about what that space is really for and Greg's day-to-day uses, we talked about doing an extended high wall that was a part of the furniture. And we talked about extending it all the way to the ceiling, but immediately realized that we were going to have a problem with air supply in return and electrical. Yep. So it seemed like it was the smart long-term solution to actually just build this office the way it's supposed to be for better long-term use.
Right.
Will there be, will he have any natural light anywhere?
Oh yeah, he's got. I was looking for the plan, but yeah, I think there's like at least 2 windows, corner windows. It's a corner office, so he will have. He'll have. I think he has windows on 2 sides.
It's a corner office. Moving on. Christopher gets the corner office.
No, well, Christopher gets the office with the nice arched window. It's gonna be.
Yes.
It's gonna be really nice.
You worked hard for it.
I could do a quick share. I think I found it, Charles.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, that capability, Tom. 1 second.
Yeah, I'm finding myself disabled. How about now? Okay. Here we go. So very simple. This is the floor plan. This is the latest SK, Charles. I assume this is the most up to date.
Yeah. One thing that this plan does, I'm realizing, is it actually cuts down on the amount of natural daylight coming into the main suite, because all those windows were coming in. I wonder, this is like a cost thing, but if we'd want to add like some clear story windows in that office to help bring borrowed light into that space.
That's a good point.
Will the door be solid, or will it be a full light door?
It could be a full light door with a frosted glass.
Most of the time it'll be open.
Light will come in from that diagonal wall that goes into that the administrator's office, but still, we were counting on those 3 windows that are now going to be in that office to bring daylight into the select board suite, and that's a lot of windows for that one little office. So that's just something to think about if we want to consider that.
So the select board suite, is that where Pat will be?
Correct. Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. Okay. And where's the door into the whole thing? That over to the left there? Is that how you get in?
Bottom left.
No, yeah, it's not really showing up on the plan, but yeah, that door on the left goes to the roof on the attic access.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not really showing up on this plan, the entry door in. But I
That's
guess
down
light,
there where your little hand is.
right? I mean, light will come in from that door too, because I think that door has glass.
This is a totally ridiculous question, but I'll ask it anyway, just because.
Yeah.
So you see where the wall is that separates the proposed office space, and you see where Pat's space is. What if there was an office, and we move Greg to, looks like it would be a smaller space, but have a wall that goes right into the little corner wall there in Pat's area, and that would be the enclosed office. One window, then you'd have 3 windows. Maybe that's I like it better the way it is, but I'm just suggesting we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to get a weird L-shaped space when you do that I think it's going to be harder to use in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think does I'm sorry, who's the name of the person who's this office is for?
Pat Martin.
Pat. So is Pat have a need for, like, there's a little conference room table in there, they could, have meetings, and I mean it's a nice office. It offers some flexibility and some use.
I think Greg deserves the shape that you've designed it.
Well, no, it's to me, it's more of just about a function of the position. It's
Right.
not really about me.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But yeah, I think because, I often do have to meet with people, it does make sense to have, some meeting space that's a little more private like that. So,
what about having a window through the wall that you're building? I mean, so that Pat and Greg could see each other, whoever occupies those offices.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
and signal, hey, I don't know if that's.
I think we're pretty close. I mean, we're probably going to still be able to hear.
Here's the other question. I'm trying to remember. So at the bottom of this drawing, is there a service window for this overall select board suite, or is it just kind of there's a door to go in? I mean, I think it's off screen, right? But
yeah, I think you come in through the door and you're greeted by that desk. I think that basically is the service area.
Gotcha.
And this is a half height door, correct?
Yeah.
This isn't really a door, it's
like a gate.
a gate. Thank you.
Yeah.
She is the gatekeeper. So
Yep.
She is the
Yeah, no, I think having like a window here with maybe an 8-foot head height, maybe like a 6-foot sill, so it's up high and it's frosted and brings glass in. It's going to make the spaces feel more open.
Yeah,
And,
I like that.
I think that would be a nice thing to add.
Mhm.
As long as we're doing it.
Okay.
I'll make sure I touch bases with Mallory on that.
Good.
all right. Any other questions from committee members about construction or design? All right. So the next agenda item we've got is the AV procurement. So I did send around a copy of all the different proposals that we got. Greg had put out an RFQ back in February, or actually maybe it was late January that the RFQ went out.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
The due date in February. We got a lot of proposals from vendors on state contract for AV, and a little bit of a range in terms of the quotes, from a low quote of about 26,000 to a higher one of like 68,000. And our goal was to keep this under 50,000. The thought being we have a capital allocation from FCAT specifically for this kind of PEG access stuff in a main meeting room. And that could be used, or potentially, as we've talked about, maybe we can talk to USDA about covering this as well. So long and short of it was we had a number of different proposals, and Valley Communications came in at, I believe, 37,000. And there was one quote lower, but we didn't feel after reviewing the criteria of the RFQ that it was fully responsive to the requirements and the scope of work. It didn't include prevailing wage for some of the cable pulling work. And so our thought was to go with Valley Communications here. So I have prepared a motion for Tim to read, but if others have questions about it, obviously happy to address it.
I will say Valley did provide 2 mic setups for the meeting room, which is going to be a nice sort of comprehensive capture for the entire room.
All right, well, Tim, maybe you can make a motion, and if there is any discussion, we can.
Okay. I move that the 1880 Building Advisory Committee recommend to the Select Board that Valley Communications be awarded the main meeting room AV equipment contract as the lowest responsive and responsible vendor providing the needed supply in accordance with MGL Chapter 30B.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll do a roll call. Julie Caswell.
Yes.
Julie Chalfant.
Yes.
Tim Hilchey, yes. So,
Yeah.
meanwhile, if you have, that was a sort of delayed yes, Julie. So, if you want to come to the select.
No, I have not read it. So I am purely trusting Greg, who knows far more about this than I do. So Greg, if you say it's okay, I'm okay with it. I haven't had a chance to look at anything.
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with the 4 mid-range quotes that we had. They were pretty comprehensive. There was some differences, but you know, under the procurement laws, we kind of have to go with the lowest responsive vendor.
Yeah.
So
They're responsible then.
Valley's a known quantity, so known entity. They did good work.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
I'm happy with that.
I tried to go through some of it too. It's overwhelming, the number of pages and verbiage. But I looked at the pictures and I saw 86-inch TV screens and 75-inch TV screens and names that I recognized from my years of being in, movie production and, music. Yeah. So it all looked good to me.
Yeah, I think they're going to give us a nice setup.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and I'm just going to jump ahead to the solar since we're talking about, quotes from vendors. On this one, I did pull together a little comparison, so I'll just share that. And my apologies that I didn't do that for the AV one. But Tim also provided full copies of the quotes we got from 3 different vendors. So if you are curious about any of the details, feel free to dive in there. But yeah, so we got quotes from Valley Solar, PV Squared, and Northeast Solar. And you can kind of see how they compared in terms of systems and warranties and overall costs. It looked to us like the lowest overall was PV Squared. I will say a couple, there were consideration by some of these vendors of, the town accessing federal tax credits. It's not clear that we'll actually be able to do that. So we've set that aside for the moment in our considerations. But happy to take any questions from anyone on this. And certainly if committee members would like more time to mull this over, or if you think there are other vendors we should reach out to, we can do that as well. But did want to just have it in this meeting for your consideration.
I will just say that Christopher and Rob and I met with pretty much all of these people that gave their presentations to us in like 45-minute presentations. As you can see, the production is roughly the same. The size of the kilowatt size of the arrays is very small variation, and depending on the lowest one actually has some of the highest percentage of capture of solar energy, and so I think they might actually produce the most, or maybe that's Northeast that produces the most. So, but they're all very similar. And I did ask one other thing. There's a production guarantee line item where Valley Solar and Northeast had something, and so I just asked. I didn't tell them anything other than I asked the PV Squared person, and he wrote back saying that the panels that they propose to use have a performance guarantee that says that at 25 years they're warranted to have 91% of the original ability to produce power. And his own opinion was, I would not advise placing much weight behind a performance guarantee, as the threshold for accessing them is generally high, and the benefit you need to access them is typically minimal. I don't know exactly what that means, but
I mean, I will just say, I know you have solar in your house, right?
I do.
I mean, I bought my solar for my house 10 years ago, and these are nominal prices that at scale are lower than what I spend. So it's pretty amazing what they've been able to do. I mean, I spent 20,000 on probably it's between 5 and 6 kilowatts. So that was back then. That was 2015. So that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and the other thing the only other real difference is that Valley and Northeast both have 40 cells and 40 connectors, and I think all of them use SolarEdge for the inverter. And Sylphet, the PV Squared, has fewer panels and fewer connectors, so maybe that's why their bid's a little lower. And Charles and/or Tom, the roof has its own snow break on it, right?
Yes, I believe so. I'll double check that while you're talking.
Yeah, and so one of the main differences between Valley and PV Squared, which were the two lower bidders, was Valley included a $4,000 cost approximately for putting individual breaks between individual panels, and PV Squared said that essentially it would be about $4,000 to put them in between each of these things if we wanted to do it. And if we decided to do it, we should do it at the beginning. My particular feeling is that if the PV Squared mentioned that they thought that the roof break that was already part of the process, they could set it far enough away to allow snow to shed without jumping beyond and hitting the flat roof that's down below. And from a production standpoint, you want the snow to shed. You don't want it to sit there.
Yeah.
Confirming we own a snow rail.
Good, thanks.
Do you have a picture of the building?
Yeah, let me.
It has we could see where the snow would fall if it fell.
Well, you want the snow rail on where the roof is sloping down over the flat roof below. You definitely need the snow rail there, and that's at odds with the PV panels. So
Right.
they're a little bit, they want to make sure that the panels that we drew were just diagrammatic. They're not necessarily where they're going to actually be placed. So I think that whoever ends up installing these panels needs to sort of optimize the distance between the bottom edge of those panels and the snow rake, so that snow that does get held up on there is going to have a minimal impact on the performance of the panels.
Yep.
Yeah, my recollection was that PV Squared was the only one that mentioned the distance between the break and the bottom of their panel array, and they said it was between 1.5 and 2 feet, which they felt was a fair amount of space to allow snow to move without just jumping beyond the edge of the roof.
Right. Okay.
So here's what we own. We own it on both sides of the roof. Again, we don't, as Charles is saying, we don't specifically locate them. That's a verify and field coordinate with solar panels. But just to jog your memory about how that snow will be coming down, and then this is the flat roof below that Tim was talking about.
It's
And
just,
go ahead, Charles.
I was just going to say that, the added protection for the $4,000 worth of, snow guards that the PV people are proposing might be worth considering. Just to give additional braking support. I don't know.
So could somebody explain what a snow guard does in this situation? So it's it's along a line of panels and doing what?
It's like a continuous fence along the eave of the roof that just sort of prevents giant slides of snow from coming off, holds it back.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, could we go to the next picture after that one?
I wanted the one before it.
Oh, okay.
No. Do the one after, and then we'll.
Yeah, do both.
Tom's having something he just closed, probably, but.
Yep.
I'm sorry, when you say, you mean the front elevations?
Yeah, perfect. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, there we go. So this is the snow rail. And these can take varying shapes, but you've certainly seen them around. And so when all this snow is melting, particularly on a metal roof, I'm sure we've all heard it, these can let go real quick, and a lot of snow can do some damage by moving very quickly. So on a metal roof, we suggest a snow rail, which again, we own as part of the project, regardless of what we do with solar. And it's just going to hold that snow so that the snow can slowly melt off of the roof rather than avalanche off. Does that?
And then the snow guards are something up in the panels themselves? I mean, what are these?
They're little flat. They stick up above the surface of the panel, so they slow the snow from moving down. And so where you see that grid, which is not necessarily representative of what has been proposed, Christopher might show some pictures, I don't know. But all along horizontally between each line, there would be these little things that stick up. So it would essentially keep the snow at the top, you keep the snow at the second one, third one, the fourth one, the fifth one. So during the winter, it's going to significantly impact, how much production you're going to get if we've had snow like that.
Yeah.
But it will also have the effect of slowing this cascading.
So
go ahead, Julie.
It was so like PV Squared didn't recommend the snow guards to begin with. Did they feel it wasn't necessary, or? I mean, we have solar power, and having the snow stay on the panels is not great.
Good. Yeah.
I forget why they said, look, as an alternative, you could put these in between each row of panels. But we didn't do that because of the production issues, and the fact that because of the way their panels are bigger and they produce more power per panel, and so they were able to reconfigure the shape and create more space between the roof snow break and the bottom of their lowest panel. And they felt that probably would be sufficient, but that they did point out that if you wanted to belt and suspenders the thing, you could do this other snow guards. If you wanted to do it, you probably should do it in the beginning, and it would be about 4,000. So it would essentially bring the same. It would bring the price of the solar panels from Valley Solar and PV Squared essentially a similar price, like 54.3 and 54, I believe. And if I'm speaking incorrectly,
No, I think you're right. And I'm trying to just share a copy of PV Squared's proposal. Oh, that's fine, Tom. We can look at that too.
Yeah, well, I'm just Googling, so I'm not sure, but what I'm seeing is something like this. Obviously, they want to be low profile, so they're not blocking the solar production for the rest of the year, but it looks like they're just little dogs. Does this sound correct, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
the benefit to that is it just keeps the avalanche. It reduces the avalanches from cascading off that roof, and the snow breaks, the snow fences that we have designed on the roof should be adequate for that. But the PV panels just add an additional kind of load by virtue of the fact the snow is stacking up higher on the PV panels, and so it's just a belts and suspenders approach to protecting that lower roof from snow cascades.
Do you have a top-down view of the whole thing with like the walkways and everything?
The walkways around the solar.
The building?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Like
oh,
the
Site- a
building
site-
where
a site
people are
plan.
gonna walk to
Got
get
it.
into the
Okay.
building and stuff.
yes, we do.
So when the snow falls,
Yeah.
who's it gonna swash?
But
Yeah,
we're well
There's like
clear
that
on
little
that.
roof that over the thing, so it's gonna break that roof if it were to fall.
Right. The
not-
one place you're really concerned about, Julie, would be on the north side and we do have a roof student.
Which is, there's no panels anyway, so.
Right. But we have a roof over that entry door too, to help sort of protect that.
Yeah,
yeah, I saw that going yesterday.
I personally would lean against putting those little snow breaks on. I think we should use the solar power, and I think the building's designed so that the snow's not gonna do anything anyway, so. But that's just
I
my.
don't. I don't want them either, but that's just me.
I mean, I don't have them on my solar array on top of my house, but I will say we get the avalanche that falls on our deck. And I would be just concerned about the distance from the top of the building down. If you get a pretty, massive avalanche of snow, it can be pretty dangerous, both for the roof below and anybody that may be down there.
So where does in this drawing, Tom, you have like an L-shaped flat roof, and the main entrance is on the side runs parallel with the roof, right? So people generally are not going to be over on the other side. There's no is there a walking area there that they actually might potentially be in?
People.
That's
Sure. I mean, maybe this area.
Well, that's the only area that would be not under protected roof of the flat roof porch.
Right.
So anybody coming this way is coming under the porch first, and the snow is gonna cascade off the roof and pile up here. So you're protected from those falls by virtue of that porch.
Yeah, I just meant the normal flow of traffic is not going to be in the area where the roof would be shedding. And then as the same, you have the door guard on the other side where there is a walkway that actually comes to an entrance.
Right. We have a little roof over that guy there.
So, and that side is steep. Is that side steeper than the long side?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And there's no solar back there, right? Or is there?
No,
Yeah.
that's the north side. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's less.
Smaller. Yeah. But it's going to fall faster.
Is there any flexibility in the size of the snow guard? You just said there had to be a snow rail, but you didn't specify exactly where it had to be. Is there?
Do you mean the size of the snow rail itself or the
Yeah.
location? I would need to go back into our specification to jog my memory about
Have we seen a
exactly
submittal?
what we called for.
Have we seen the submittal on that yet? The roofing submittal?
I would need to jog my memory about that.
And just
And go ahead.
one thing I'd add is just that we've run into this issue with the sort of rubber roof between the old building and the new building on the library. And what we've been doing is just having our DPW use a roof rake to just break up that snow a bit and make sure it's a controlled fall. I don't know how that tool would interact with solar. Kind of would not want going up there, but at least for the opposite side of the roof, that's something. And I do wonder they'd probably make something similar that's more compatible with solar. But
What's the drop from the roof to the next roof? Do we know?
It's probably 12 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, between 10 and 12.
It'll take me just a minute to crunch that. Carry on and I'll give you an answer.
Yep.
Well, I just wanted to do a quick time check. We are at 12:50. Team members here do have a construction meeting at 1. So I don't know if we want to linger on this solar conversation or move on or what, but
I'd prefer to make a motion, whether it's Valley or it's PV squared. And since we know we can ask for those snow guards, we can think about, that seems to be the only thing we're concerned about. And so if nobody else objects, I want to make a motion and let's get this approved because.
Let's do it.
all right, I got a motion for you there.
Thank you. I move that the 1880 Building Advisory Committee recommend that a Valley PV squared, no, it says Valley PV, you meant PV squared.
Yeah, it's PV squared, yeah.
PV squared contract with WJ Mountford, the general contractor for rooftop solar on the addition. So this would be handled PCO. A second?
Yep.
Okay.
Julie did. The other Julie.
All right. Any further discussion?
I think we should go ahead without snow breaks and just do it. I support it.
All right. So I'll make a roll call. Julie Caswell,
Yes.
Julie Chalfant,
Yes.
Melchi, yes. All right. Anything else, Christopher?
Yeah, the only other item had to do with reimbursement from USDA Rural Development. I know I've gotten the latest pay requisition from WJ Mountford, and I Rob, refresh my memory if we've gotten the latest PCO also.
Yeah, good question. I know it came back signed from John. I believe, Tom, you have signed it. So I think it's, unless you didn't receive it by email, Chris, from any of us, it will be in your court for the town to
Okay.
sign.
That's great. So we'll get that processed today, and then we'll apply for reimbursement from USDA. I think we did just want to bring up, it's clear, given that the project came in so under budget, that while the split with USDA is great, it's almost 50-50. If things are to proceed as they currently are, there's going to be a lot of that earmark left over at the end of the project. So I think the plan is when we go for this next reimbursement application, just to, start a conversation with them about, ways to spend down the earmark, given that I don't think they actually really very much want to leave any money in that pot. So, so we'll see where those conversations go, but just want to kind of make the committee aware, and these costs we've been talking about with solar and AV and maybe some other things might be opportunities to have them, up their contribution, so to say. So that's all I have on that. And then I did just want to really quickly touch on meeting dates. I might just send out an email to everyone because Vern and Kathy aren't here. And I'll be honest, I don't know if ski season continues that deep into April. So we'll see if maybe we're ready to move back to a different time. So you can all just expect an email from me in the next couple of days asking for meeting have your calendars ready. Any other questions from committee members at this point?
I have a question for next time. I would still be very interested in an energy use estimate for the building as built, excluding whatever we plug into the wall sockets. So an estimate of the energy usage for the air handling and HVAC equipment, basically, and lighting, I guess.
Gotcha. And I think we can kind of triangulate with some of these solar proposals on that, because I think some of them estimated how much of usage would be covered. But also curious if KRA or P3 have any way to, provide that number as well.
We would have to ask EDM to do that, and it seems like they know what their equipment sizing is, what the equipment loads are. So it may be a simple math problem of just saying, these are the equipment loads, and at a current electrical rate of so many, cents per, kilowatt, you can do it like that. It's an all electric building, so it's possible. We could ask them.
And even if we,
I don't care about dollar value. I care about energy, like how much is going to be used, kilowatt hours. Because the dollar value is going to vary based on
Right.
the cost of electricity, right? So,
well, we can ask them if they have a total
Yeah.
equipment load for the building,
yeah,
independent of
dollar
lighting.
value is good
plug
too,
loads.
but yeah, I'm not as worried about that.
I would imagine they have something because they would have had to size the service to the building based on that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
All right.
good question. If there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor, Julie Caswell,
aye.
Chalfont,
Aye.
Melchi, aye.
All right. Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
See you guys later.
See you.
Bye.
It's